analyst and commentator Reese, who's with us. Hello, Reese. How are you doing? Are you keen for this weekend?
I'm doing well, thanks to yourself, Mark. Yes, I'm extremely excited for this race weekend. A lot of upgrades that we didn't necessarily see the full potential of last weekend in Azerbaijan. Hopefully, being able to be honed in a bit this weekend. The likes of Red Bull, Mercedes, also with a big upgrade, Ferrari, McLaren, a lot of other teams further down the grid as well.
Yes, and we'll get through all of that today in our preview, of course, for the Miami Grand Prix weekend. So just some facts, just to go straight through it, into it. Of course, we are back in Miami, second race of the F1 history. And just some facts about the track. So, of course, the first time it was hosted was last year, and the number of laps that they will be racing is 57 laps. The race circuit is 5.4 kilometers long. The total race distance, therefore, will turn out to be 308 kilometers. And the current lap record, albeit they haven't had many opportunities to break it yet, is held by Max Verstappen last year with a 1 minute 31.361. That was his time last year. Can the new cars beat it? Of course, this year. Let's see if they've made enough upgrades to, of course, go and challenge that. So just a little bit of facts about the Miami Grand Prix, of course. Before last year's Miami Grand Prix, the sport had previously raced once in Florida, in Sebring, back in 1959. So not that any of you would have remembered any of that. But yes, when it moved on to the calendar for 2022, the Miami Grand Prix was licensed for 10 years. Meaning that after this year's race, there will be another 8 at minimum. So lots of races to go in Miami. So be sure to get used to the track because it's going to be around for a while. Miami is the 11th different location in the USA that has hosted a Formula One race. Crazy, isn't it? And then during the planning phase, there were reportedly 75 different track designs made for the Miami Grand Prix. That's quite a lot, I suppose there should have to be quite a lot. It's a very, very nitty-gritty sport. And lastly, I'll just go through it. And it says, when it was introduced to the calendar last year, Miami became the 77th different track used for a Formula One race. And actually not as many as I thought there would be. So just going into the schedule for the weekend so that we all understand exactly what is happening. We have got tomorrow, Friday, 5th of May, practice 1 and practice 2. These are all the times I'm going to be telling you in Eastern Standard Time, because that is the local time for the race. Practice 1 will be taking at 2:30 p.m. and practice 2 at 6 p.m. And for British Standard Time, for most of our other people, and that would be close to more of the African nations and otherwise, you're looking at 7:30 p.m. in the evening and 11 o'clock in the evening. That's British Standard Time. Saturday then comes May 6th, practice 3, 12:30 p.m. in Eastern Standard Time, and qualifying at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For British peoples, that's 5:30 and 9 p.m. respectively. And Sunday, the big race on May 7th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, otherwise 8:30 British Standard Time. And for those South Africans, that's 10:30. So, lots to look forward to. Reese?
Yes, just the article straight going into news for this race weekend. The FIA has announced that they will be shortening some of the DRS zones in Miami. So, as reported before the season, the first 5 races of 2023 would see changes to the DRS zones, either extensions or reductions, in order to better balance overtaking. In Miami, the first 2 of 3 DRS zones have had their activation points moved further up the road, meaning that the DRS will only be allowed to be open for a shorter amount than it would have been last year. The first DRS activation points at the flat-out turn to turn 11 has been pushed back from 30 meters after turn 9 to 105 meters after the corner, reducing the DRS zone by 75 meters. The second DRS zone on the back straight has also been shortened by 75 meters and now starts 525 meters after turn 16. So quite some significant changes to the DRS zones here. Do you think that will make a big change in overtaking here in Miami, Mark?
Well, I mean, it's funny, because if you guys want to know, we go and race, of course, every time we come to a race weekend, we go and race the equivalent track inside the game, of course, with the team. And a whole lot of comments from everybody was just saying how long these DRS zones are from last year. Of course, we were playing last year's version. of the track, and just saying that it's just stupidly long in terms of like it's so easy to overtake some people. So, and I think that is what we more or less saw last year, especially with those Red Bulls, with the DRSs, of course, being like some of the most powerful on the grid. They found it so easy to make use of DRS to get ahead of everybody last year, and shortening the DRS zone would, of course, result in Red Bull having a less opportunity, I suppose, in terms of it's a smaller space. I still think it's that they're going to do absolutely fine with it. But what it certainly does do is it does reduce the ability for the attacking car to overtake the defending car and gives a bit more favor in the defender. Of course, having a shorter DRS zone, it's less time for the DRS to be open. Car in front can, of course, defend a bit better. And that's what we do want to see. We want to see some genuine defense, see cars right on tails for longer. So hopefully that results in better racing this weekend.
Yes, for sure. Certainly looking very much forward to that. Going now on to Red Bull, Mark.
Yes, indeed. As I said, big news, of course, this, and I'm just going to pull across the news studio here. Red Bull have, of course, and the resource alerted me to this immediately, but they have going to try and curb the curse of a special livery for this weekend. It's a really, really, really cool livery, and I would love to just try and get it to come across, but for some reason I can't get the image up. But nonetheless, we will get the image up as soon as I can. But it's a very, very cool car. So basically what's happening is they've pinstriped it with a purple, a red, and like a very light blue going across the whole car from left to right. And of course on
it's very Miami, of
yes,
course.
and all those bright colors of the Miami scenes. So it is very, very cool, and I can't wait to see it now.
Yes, very, very exciting to see that Red Bull is allowing fans to design the livery for their cars for 3 of the races this season. All of the American circuits are being, their cars are all being designed by a fan for each of the American circuits.
As I said, I'll just read through it. Sorry, I was just trying to get my image up, and I've got it now. So, as I say, so they're going to do 3 fan-penned designs across the whole campaign. So it's going to be in Miami, Austin, and Las Vegas. All of them, the American races. So that's also quite interesting to note. They've made a special thing for all of the American races, not any of the other circuits. So that's quite interesting. I think it's maybe because... Here's a theory. Do you think it's because they think America is not quite traditional at Formula One? So when they do these little special things that have not been a thing of the past, they're going, well, you know what? We're going to stay away from doing it like Monaco, for example, or otherwise, we keep it traditional there. You keep your normal livery. And we go to America, well, they're new. They don't care. So let's just go and put the fun stuff there.
Well, I think it's also a very good marketing tactic. I mean, we've seen how Formula One as a brand has been trying to attract the American market more and more. I think this is Red Bull's way of doing it as well. Of course, Red Bull signing with Ford for 2026. They're just getting more and more involved with the American market, possibly.
Yeah, and just continuing on here. So the judging panel for the cars, the different liveries, of course, was headed up by the Red Bull team principal Christian Horner, and included representatives from the team's title partner Oracle, principal team partner Bybit, and technology partner Mobile One. And Horner had to go and say this. He says, to give our fans the opportunity to influence our design at the 3 USA races is something you just don't see other teams doing, said Horner. It is important to the team to be able to involve our fans in what we do and give them unique opportunities like this. I think Martina has done a great job, and the livery looks incredible when you see it in real life. The design keeps the ethos of who we are, but introduces Miami to the Red Bull 19 as well, the RB19. We are definitely going to stand out when you see that car on track. I'm intrigued to see what people come up with for Austin, and of course Las Vegas. That promises to be really exciting. So yeah, very, very cool. But as I said when I started this whole thing, there is normally a curse when it comes to special liveries for race weekends.
Well, you say that, but I mean, it hasn't necessarily been a curse for all of the teams. I mean, it's certainly been a curse for Mercedes when they ran that heritage livery in Germany. That did not go well.
No, it was a shocking day out with it.
Red Bull ran their Honda tribute livery, and they won that race. So, I mean, maybe it's not a curse for Red Bull.
Yeah, I just think that the only problem is that, you look at the recent liveries especially last season, at least. Not turning out fantastically for everybody. Ferrari, of course, running that special livery that one time with the yellow, with the more yellowified car, I suppose. Both cars didn't end
Yes,
up
the
on the
75th
podium.
anniversary
Yeah.
car.
And it was not a great day out for them either. So normally when teams do this sort of thing, it's sometimes for some reason some interesting things start to creep in. So whether or not we're going to see that this weekend remains to be unseen. But hopefully nothing goes too far wrong. But it is a very, very cool design. I just want to touch on it just before we move on. It's a really, really cool design. So fair play to who is it that did it again? Sorry, I just completely forgot.
Martina, I think it
yes,
was.
Martina.
Yes.
So well played, well played. That was it's a very cool design.
Yes, going further on from that, just looking at some of the upgrades that we have going into this weekend, we've had a lot of teams working on their floors, specifically the likes of McLaren, Red Bull, Alpine, who else? Mercedes, I'm sure, will also have some tweaks coming for this race weekend. They obviously did not get so much time last weekend in Azerbaijan to test these floors because of the sprint format for the race, for the weekend. So they will certainly be wanting to test them out properly in Miami. That is for sure.
Yeah, as I said, I thought I was quite good there with my show credentials. There's, as you said, McLaren. Boom! There's my McLaren car appearing on screen. I thought that was quite good. So appreciate Nate for that. I think we'll just go through and read this a little bit. And it goes, it says in McLaren's case, the altercations being made might at first appear to be isolated to the floor edge and edge wing, but definition and contour changes have been made to the entire surface of the floor. This includes the height of the forward floor blister, the red arrow otherwise, which will have a direct influence over the shape of the tunnel and strakes beneath. Reese, do you want to carry on? Otherwise, keep going.
I was waiting. I'll take over for LP.
I'll tell you. Okay, perfect. So it just says, meanwhile, the section of the floor, this is still from McLaren, but meanwhile, the section of the floor that encloses the lower side impact spar has also been modified with a crescent-shaped blister shrink wrapped around the safety structure to tighten the floor's bodywork. At the rear of the floor, it's clear to see that the interface between the side pod and ramped kick-up has also been re-characterized in order to take advantage of the changes that have been made upstream. So all of these various things, basically, as a consequence, will allow the rear portion of the floor has been modified to make better use of the new flow structures generated ahead of it. So hopefully, better airflow throughout the entire car. That is the hope.
Yes, and moving on to Alpine, the changes that they have made have not been as extensive as McLaren, but are also just as rewarding from a performance standpoint, given that there are optimizations of their design of their car already. The midway flap that's created by two cutouts on either side of the floor has now got a leading edge curl facing down towards the ground rather than away from it, whilst the surface geometry of the flap has also been adjusted besides. Thereafter, the floor has been contoured slightly differently in order to take advantage of the alterations ahead, and further modify the floor structures received by the floor cutout. Also, just some more changes made to their floor to optimize airflow around that skirt and just create a best suction underneath the car as well.
Yeah, and I mean, Red Bull also deployed a new floor in Azerbaijan, of course, as modified design in order to take advantage of revisions made to the RB19's side pod. So you're going to see lots of new floors this weekend, and lots of upgrades on various cars, which will be very interesting to go and look at, because I think we might finally see a bit more of a packed. And I know we say this every week, but I genuinely do feel this weekend, I think we're going to see some changes with regards to at least the midfield. I think you're going to see McLaren improve dramatically, and I think we're going to see Aston Martin and Ferrari, Mercedes, they're going to battle it out a lot more, I feel, this weekend. I still think Red Bull will be quite clear on top. But the challenges after that, I think, will be certainly making a bit more of a statement.
Well, we'll have to hope that Red Bull also don't make too much of a step forward this race weekend. Obviously, a lot of talk still going on that they haven't optimized last week's floor. So will that come into play this race weekend? We'll see. Maybe it was a high speed floor for them for higher speed tracks. We'll have to see. But yes, hopefully we will get some closer racing this weekend.
Yeah. And moving swiftly on to just a little bit of news just going into the weekend, not necessarily regarding Miami, but Leclerc is on Mercedes' F1 radar for the long term, but not now, says Wolff. So that's very interesting in itself. The Mercedes boss Toto Wolff says Charles Leclerc is definitely a long-term option for his Formula One team, but has ruled out any imminent move for the Ferrari ace. Speculation emerged in recent weeks that Leclerc was in talks with Mercedes as a pound as a possible replacement if Lewis Hamilton does not stay into next year. But Leclerc himself denied there's been any contact with Mercedes or its boss Wolff, although he intriguingly added the word yet at the end of his sentence. Speaking at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Wolff himself also rubbished suggestions that dialogue had opened between the team and the Monegasque driver. However, he said it would be foolish of the squad to ignore Leclerc as an option for the longer term. Wolff goes on to say, Charles is a super guy and for the long-term future, someone you need to always have on your radar. And that's clear, but not for the short and the medium term. Wolff explained that the only time he had personally spoken to Leclerc recently was when he bumped into each other at the Melbourne airport on their return from the Australian Grand Prix. Leclerc's current deal at Ferrari runs until the end of the 2024 season. The current Mercedes driver, Lewis Hamilton, is out of contract at the end of this year. So, yeah.
A lot of speculation going on, obviously, whenever someone's contract comes to an end, especially a 7-time world champion like Lewis Hamilton, there's always going to be a lot of speculation, a lot of talk. Maybe he'll get another 1-year extension, maybe a 2-year extension. We'll have to see from there, but I don't think we'll be losing Lewis Hamilton all too soon.
Also, I think the problem, or at least the issue, not necessarily a problem, is the fact that Hamilton and Wolff have got a very, very good relationship. The Mercedes team and Hamilton have worked together for many years now. You know, it's like Mercedes Hamilton is in one word. That is just that's how we know it.
At this stage, Lewis Hamilton is as much of a figure in Formula One as Valentino Rossi is in MotoGP. It's like Michael Schumacher. It's synonymous with the name Formula One.
Exactly, but I think it's also when you look at the team, you know, it's difficult for Mercedes to go and say, well, you know what, Lewis, you're getting on in years. You're not necessarily as good a driver as you used to be. We need to move on to the next best thing, which maybe they see as Charles Leclerc. He would be a very good replacement, of course. I mean, Charles Leclerc, definitely one of the top drivers on the grid. You see it in that Ferrari. You know, Carlos Sainz got that same Ferrari, yet Charles Leclerc seems to always manage to get a bit more out of the car than Carlos Sainz. And
I mean, we see that most in qualifying, where he outperforms sometimes the Red Bulls in a Ferrari that shouldn't be there.
Exactly, as I say. So Leclerc's driving credentials are certainly there to say that any top team would have him. Red Bull would happily have him, I'm sure, if they were given the opportunity at any point. Imagine a Leclerc-Verstappen partnership. That would just be absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know. I would not want to be Christian Horner.
No.
You were leading that team. Gosh.
No, not at all. But as I say, so when Mercedes do need to replace a driver, Leclerc is certainly up there as the ultimate choice in terms of best driver on the grid. You look at Max Verstappen. After that, who's your best driver? I would probably say Charles Leclerc at the moment. Not necessarily saying Lewis Hamilton's not there. Just saying that in terms of future proof, Charles Leclerc is certainly there. And Lando Norris maybe as well. George Russell in with a shout, but he's already at Mercedes. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised at all if when Lewis Hamilton does leave, whether it's next year, the following, or the following after that Charles Leclerc is the one sought out by Mercedes.
I mean, it would be a very, very interesting partnership, Charles Leclerc and George Russell. Both, I think, very big, prominent figures, but I think they would make a good team. George has shown that he's a very good team player, as well as Charles has also shown he's a good team player. I don't know if Charles and Max drive a team up would work, because they both would just clash too much.
Yeah, I don't think that would work very well. But yes, so that's all speculation there from Toto Wolff and Charles Leclerc, or Charles Leclerc. However, each person wants to say it. Everyone has a different thing. But yeah, and moving on to a little bit of just slightly separate information. Reese, you've got some news on F2.
I'm actually going to hijack that a little bit and put in some Formula One 23, the game, coming out very soon. Yes, we completely forgot about it when we were setting up the stream. But very, very exciting to have Formula One 23 coming soon. EA Sports Formula One 23 has been unveiled with a slew of fan-requested features and the return of its Breaking Point story mode. Not only will we see the return of Breaking Point, the immersive story mode, including Aiden Jackson and Devin Butler, but the new game is also set to include new improvements on the physics and, importantly, the full roster of drivers, teams, and tracks for the 2023 Formula One season from day one. That is what we want to hear as fans, of course. As we hoped and expected, the full calendar for the 2023 edition of the Formula One schedule will be included with the new game. That will include the new venues, such as the new Las Vegas Strip street course in the US and Losail International Circuit in Qatar from launch.
So keen for racing Las Vegas. I reckon that's going to be the best track of the year. I do actually think, looking at that Las Vegas track, I think that is going to be the best race of the whole season. I cannot wait to race it. It's going to be so awesome.
Yes. It's really going to be such an amazing track, not just to play in the game, but to watch later in this year. Carrying on, the last Codemasters developed Formula One game to feature red flags, which is now being reintroduced in this game, triggered after a pileup was Formula One 2014. They've been absent ever since, and dedicated Formula One fans will be happy that they are returning. It may create some havoc, though, in our Formula One streams, but we'll have to see about that. As well as handling has now been further improved in the Formula One games, making it more predictable, at least, as well as hopefully allowing it to be a bit more realistic, truer to the new cars in 2023. Also, some questions from fans asking if Podium Pass is getting revised for the F1 World. Podium Pass has been in the Formula One game since Formula One 2020 and has remained largely the same since. It includes optional challenges across Grand Prix and time trial modes that dish out XP. That XP levels you up, and when you go from one level to the next, you unlock cosmetic items such as car liveries or drivers' outfits. In Formula One 22, this also included furniture for F1 Live as well.
Yay.
The announcement makes no mention of Podium Pass, but F1 23 is set to include an F1 World Hub. It sounds oddly familiar, but offers some distinct differences from what Podium Pass used to be. Specifically, a new progress system and form of car upgrades will now be achievable. How it ends up being being monetized is yet to be confirmed, but we can say that Bitcoin, the virtual currency with Podium Pass, is returning.
Yeah, so very, very keen to see when I can go and get that game. I cannot wait to play.
Yes.
It's going to be very expensive, though. I don't have that money. But I'll tell you what,
yes,
you guys can go and
dates.
If more people watch the channel, more people subscribe to the channel and like the videos and etc. Maybe we can go and afford the game and we can play it all for you and fool around and make a complete fool of ourselves.
Yes. So the standard edition of EA Sports Formula 1 23 is set for release on PC via EA app, Epic Games, and Steam, as well as PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and all the rest on the 16th of June. The digital exclusive of EA Sports Formula 1 23 will be released on the 13th of June.
So pretty much almost my birthday. So give me a birthday present, people, please.
Is that a hint?
That's a hint, nudge. No, I'm joking. But yes, so the game, very, very keen to see that game. And then, as I say, to go and race around Las Vegas and some obviously improved circuits as they have changed a little bit for this season. And yeah, just moving on to a couple of last articles before we finish up the preview for the weekend. Do we want to go over Behrman, Reese?
Yes, I think it would be a very interesting article to read out. So just looking in Formula 2 at the moment, some talent hopefully coming into Formula 1 in the near future. Oliver Behrman, who is a Ferrari Driver Academy driver in Formula 2, has taken both feature race wins in 2023 so far in Formula 2. Red Bull junior team driver Enzo Fittipaldi secured his first podium of the year in Formula 2 ahead of ART Grand Prix and Sauber Academy driver Teo Pourchaire. Behrman, who held the lead from pole at lights out, as Pourchaire made quick work of Fittipaldi for P2, with Behrman obviously taking that race win. Behrman is looking very interesting to watch in the future. We could hopefully see him in Formula 1 very soon.
And as I say, we talked about Charles Leclerc earlier in regards to his potential moving to Mercedes in the next few years. Maybe Charles Leclerc does leave and the replacement is, in fact, Oliver Behrman. So that would be very interesting to go and follow as well.
It's looking like they may need to replace Carlos Sainz, so we'll have to keep an eye on who Ferrari have seats. That could come and fill those seats for them.
Do a driver swap, send Hamilton to Ferrari.
Well, there's been so many rumors about that as well. So
Dear, shocking. But yeah, lots of potential moves coming up. But very good to go and watch F2 as well, people. Really, really cool. You go and see basically the Formula One drivers of the future. And just to end off, quite an interesting little fun article here. Toto Wolff. He is going to go and teach an MBA course at the Harvard Business School. How cool is that? Mercedes Formula One team principal Toto Wolff has extended his relationship with the Harvard Business School by becoming an executive fellow and guest lecturer. The Austrian will teach a course for first and second year MBA students under the title Mercedes F1 Leading a High Performance Team. The course will take place in January 2024, taking advantage of a rare, relatively quiet period in Wolff's usual hectic schedule as boss of the Brackley organization. Wolff will teach the course in conjunction with Professor Anita Albers, with whom he has worked closely in recent years. Dutch-born Albers followed Wolff and the team during the 2021 season, studying the way he operated, and wrote a case study called Toto Wolff and the Mercedes Formula One team. Very original name, isn't it? Which led to previous appearances by Wolff at the university's campus in Massachusetts. The pair also collaborated on an article in the prestigious Harvard Business Review called Number One in Formula One, which encapsulated Wolff's approach to leadership in 6 lessons. The executive fellow role is granted to people working in various areas who are willing to teach in their spare time along with their day job. So very, very cool from Toto Wolff to go and take part in this. And but also, what an honor. To be asked by the top university in the world to go and explain exactly how you do things, because that's what people want to know.
Yes, for sure. And Toto Wolff says there in the article, I feel very honored and privileged to continue working with the incredibly bright young minds at Harvard, said Wolff. Whenever I step on campus, I'm inspired by the students' curiosity and ambition, and I leave energized by the special learning environments they create together with the brilliant faculty. We very much look forward to welcoming Toto back to the campus, said Albers. So clearly a very, very exciting opportunity there for Toto Wolff, as well as the students at Harvard.
I say more for the students. Imagine being a Harvard student, you go there and then Toto Wolff telling you how to make Formula One cars. Not quite, but obviously how to run a team. Would be awesome. But otherwise, people, that does bring us to the end of our preview for the Miami Grand Prix. Reese, I'm going to hit it as we always do. We're going to have predictions. Your top 5. Go. For 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. Go.
Oh, gosh. From 5th?
Yes, from 5th. Because I really want to introduce other drivers into this, not just the podium places.
5th, Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, P4. Lance Stroll, P3. Gosh. Can I change Lance Stroll with Fernando Alonso?
I was about to say, I made such a reaction. I was like, why Lance Stroll out of the 2?
Sergio Perez, P2, and Max Verstappen, P1.
So you have Carlos Sainz higher than Charles Leclerc?
Well, let's see.
Yes, I know, I did put you on the spot there, so you might well change that. But nonetheless, I'm going to go with my top 5 here. I'm going to say Carlos Sainz, P5. I'm going to say Fernando Alonso in P4, Charles Leclerc, P3, and then Perez 2, Verstappen 1. I think that's my top 5, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we did actually see that. I'm sure Mercedes will sneak in somewhere. Maybe Fernando Alonso sneaks onto a podium again in that 3rd place.
Well, let's see what upgrades Mercedes bring this weekend. We will obviously be watching that very closely starting tomorrow evening. What time did you say, Mark?
As I say, Eastern Standard Time. I think, as I said, it was 1:30. But anyway, we'll be streaming from about, we'll probably go live at about 9 p.m. South African Standard Time.
So now.
So pretty much now, tomorrow, exactly 24 hours. But obviously this is a recording, so it is 9 p.m. currently. So yeah. Very keen to go and watch that. And of course, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, tell us your thoughts about what's going to happen this weekend with regards to Miami. And be sure to watch the channel and subscribe and turn on all the notifications so that when our live streams do go up, you can be notified. Come and join us and we can chat live throughout all of the sessions this weekend in Miami. Reese, any final thoughts on what's going to happen this weekend?
Well, I hope we get some shakeups with the upgrades coming this race weekend, but we will have to see. Very exciting race weekend ahead of us, so please do join us.
Indeed. Perfect, guys. Thank you so much for watching Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. I've been Mark, Reese has been Reese, and we'll see you this weekend. Goodbye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sport. Today's guide on how to watch the 2023 Formula One season, which kicks off this weekend. The Bahrain Grand Prix will officially get the season underway, and there is just so much action between now and about November when the season will come to an end. Just races all around the world, more sprints, more races, a busier season than ever, and yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting season to see exactly if Red Bull can continue to sort of assert their dominance, if we're going to see Mercedes coming back, what are we going to see? And the question is, how can you watch all the action throughout the season? Now, the first things first is that we will do videos for every single Grand Prix. We will do videos on how to watch that particular Grand Prix on a free-to-air broadcaster. Which means that as long as you subscribe to the channel and you monitor us, you'll be able to sort of find out how to watch every single race on a free-to-air broadcaster. And so make sure you subscribe to the channel for that. Now, to be able to do that, though, however, there are very different broadcasters from around the world. So what you're going to do is you're going to get yourself a VPN. Now, we recommend using ExpressVPN because we've tried and tested it, and it just works. So what you're going to do, link in the description, get ExpressVPN, get yourself that year subscription as well. If you sign up for a year subscription, you'll actually get an extra 3 months for free, which means you'll be able to start watching from this weekend, and it'll cover you up to about June next year. You're going to install ExpressVPN, and it's going to come up something like that. And you think if you click on the right-hand side there, you're then going to get these this pop-up, and those are all the locations of all the various places where you can, connect to sort of servers. And what it does, it kind of geolocates your device. So, for example, for Bahrain, there are free-to-air broadcasts in Belgium as well as in Austria. So you connect to those locations and you go to those sites. But if you totally wanted to watch the entire season, my recommendation would be to get F1 TV Pro. Now, it is only available in certain locations, that being the US, the Netherlands, Sweden, I think Spain, Germany. Then you'll need to use ExpressVPN if it's not covered in that region. And again, so what you do is you go on ExpressVPN, you go and select the United States, and then all you do is just turn it on. As soon as this goes green, it means that you are currently connected to a server in the United States. You're then going to go and sign up for F1 TV Pro, which is $45 for the entire year. Alternatively, it is $5 a month, which is really not a lot of money. And you can get so many more things. You can watch onboard footage with individual drivers. You get behind-the-scenes content. It really is the best way to watch Formula One. However, you can only watch it in those regions. And that is where a VPN, like ExpressVPN, will come in clutch and enable you to really sort of get the most out of F1 TV. Check out the description for a sort of step-by-step guide on exactly how you can do it. Apart from that, we'll see you guys throughout the season.
just looking over here. We've got the big stadium there, of course. I can't remember the name of the stadium, but
Hard Rock Stadium.
there you go. Hard. I was about to say, I was like, I just saw the logo just earlier, and I just couldn't remember. But yes, the
A
Hard Rock
sponsor of
Stadium.
Red Bull since last year. Hard Rock had been.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Hard Rock, the Hard Rock Stadium there, of course, the centerpiece of the Miami Grand Prix circuit, and the track itself is very new. Of course, we've got. We had last season was the first time they ran the track, and this is the second time we're going to see it running. And how do you feel the track fares in terms of the rest of the circuits in the season?
Well, obviously we've played the circuit in Formula 122, as I'm sure a lot of you did watch during our build-up package. I quite enjoy this track. It's very technical. It's very high speed as well, but it does have those sections, specifically in second and third sector. It has those very technical parts, especially into like the last 4 corners. You have 2 90-degree corners, so you still have to have quite a lot of downforce on your car, but also you don't want to compromise too much. You still want to have a lot of top speed as well in your car.
Yeah. As I say, so the interesting thing, of course, we talk about top speed with regards to this this track. Because, we also talked about current changes and recent changes made to the track last minute. Well, not necessarily last minute, but certainly going into the season compared to last season. The fact that the 2 DRS zones, DRS zone, I think it's 1 and 2, have changed, whereas DRS zone 3 has remained the same. With regards to how long they are, they've both of them shortened by 75 meters, correct?
Yes, around about 75 meters each.
Yeah, so it should hopefully allow for more, I suppose, compact racing rather than because the DRS straights were very long. I think that's the one thing we also found when we were gaming and we were just trying it out, is those DRS straights are very long. So now, of course, being shorter,
I think.
I
think it gives more genuine overtakes rather than just the DRS overtake. It allows people to follow closer, but still have to work to make that overtake happen.
Yeah, exactly that. So, it allows for more compact racing. You've got to really go for it when you want to try and overtake someone. It's not just such a breeze and easy thing. So, of course, you can only make one maneuver as the defending car in front. And, there's not much you can do if they've got such a long straight. So hopefully that allows for some more interesting racing for the rest of us. But we're not really going to see that this session, of course. We're going to go and see the new upgrades that we're going to see from some of the teams, of course, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, perhaps Aston Martin as well, Red Bull's new floor upgrades as well. Everybody really working on the floor at the moment. And yeah, I mean, Aston Martin weren't as strong last weekend in Azerbaijan as they were in the prior weekends to that. Do you think that's going to be continuing this weekend, or do you think we're going to see a little bit more of a fight back from Aston Martin?
I wonder if it wasn't down to just not getting the setup right. Obviously, you only had that one practice session in Azerbaijan, and then we went straight into qualifying. Very, very difficult for teams to get a car set up perfect in one practice session. And unfortunately, maybe that's just didn't work in Aston Martin's favor that weekend.
Indeed, yeah. So we'll be watching Aston Martin very keenly this weekend. Of course, 3 practice sessions back again, and then qualifying tomorrow. So, of course, we've got the practice 2 coming up later this evening, depending on where you are in the world, and 2, and then 1 more practice tomorrow, as well as qualifying later in the evening, followed by the race on Sunday. So, yeah, just seeing some images here of Checo Perez in the Red Bull pit here, just having some water from his Red Bull. His big Red Bull thing. I actually want one of those. It's a very cool little jug, or at least water bottle. So Red Bull, of course, still looking very, very strong. And this weekend, I think it is going to be a bit of a battle of the Red Bull drivers. Of course, Checo Perez has now got 2 wins behind his name. So very much chasing Max Verstappen down in terms of driver championship.
Yes, I don't think Max expected to have such a fight from his teammate this year, but at least it keeps a little bit interesting up at the front.
Yeah. And also having a look here at Adrian Newey, of course, Chief Technical Officer for Red Bull Racing. And he is, of course, what everybody credits Red Bull's success towards, is indeed Newey, and all of his expertise. But Red Bull are seemingly losing quite a few of their team members recently. They seem to be going off to Ferrari and Aston Martin and all sorts there. So Adrian Newey, of course, his supporting staff seem to be leaving him at a fairly rapid pace. So should this be something that Red Bull worry about?
Well, we've seen Red Bull acquire team members from other teams as well. It's something that happens in business. There's obviously only so many talented people that can do what they do in Formula One. So teams often poach technical members from other teams. It's not uncommon, but I'm sure there are many people waiting in the wings to take over at Red Bull.
Yeah. And I mean, we've got all the teams here. We've got various races. I mean, the one thing that we noted last week, and a lot of things on Twitter and the various Formula One worlds have been saying, is I'm just looking at the background share of the stream that I'm seeing, is Williams racing, of course. And a lot of people saying that Williams have not got the number of points that they actually deserve the season so far. In fact, that they actually say that Williams are performing a lot better than what the points say. Would you agree with that?
Yes, Williams have been doing quite well. I mean, especially Alex Albon, he's been outperforming certainly the car. He's been doing very well in qualifying sessions. We saw him obviously having that big crash in Melbourne, but still being able to bounce back at the other circuits.
So I'm interested to see how Williams fare this weekend as well. I think Alex Albon is really started to show his stuff a little bit in that Williams car, and I really love it when a small time team, not that any of these teams are necessarily small, but of course the not the big four / big three. I say big four now because we include Aston Martin, of course. But it's nice to see those teams start to fight out a bit more, and Alex Albon really just stretching some eyes, of course. Logan Sargent still yet to 100% get into it, but also has shown glimpses of what he can do in that Williams car, of course, as well. So yeah, go to watch Williams very keenly as well. But of course, if you guys are joining us on the stream, welcome. Very glad to have you all here for the Miami free practice session 1, which gets going in just about 5 minutes time. We are seeing the opening titles now, and be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment what you think is going to happen in today's session and for the weekend.
Yes, as we finally have the titles roller for the Formula One stream, getting close to the first practice session here in Miami. Very exciting. Who do you think will be in our top? Well, you put me on the spot last night and made me give a top 5, so I'm going to make you give a top 10, Mark.
Top 10, my word. Top 10 what? Top 10 drivers in terms of pace for today's session.
For end of, practice 1.
Okay. End of practice 1. Well, I have absolutely no idea who's going to be necessarily exact, but I can probably say teams wise. I'm just gonna chuck names because I don't think it'll mean much by the end of the session. We'll see what happens. But you know what? I'm gonna say Max Verstappen 1, Checo Perez 2, Charles Leclerc 3, Fernando Alonso 4, Carlos Sainz 5, Lewis Hamilton 6, George Russell 7. Lance Stroll 8, Alex Albon 9, and Ocon in 10. That's going to be my prediction in terms of times. And okay, I throw it right back at you.
I'll just make it easy for myself and say I'll give the exact same.
No. You can't cheat like that. I bet you right now you weren't going to say the same thing as I did.
Well, I'll say Max Verstappen P1, Sergio Perez P2. Charles Leclerc P3, followed by maybe Fernando Alonso P4, Carlos Sainz P5, Lewis Hamilton P6, George Russell P7. Let's make it a bit wild. Logan Sargent P8, Alex Albon P9, and Esteban Ocon P10.
So almost exactly the same as me, except for the fact that you swapped Lance Stroll out with a Logan Sargent. So interesting. You've put 2 Williams in the top 10, yeah.
You never know. I mean, he's coming to America. It could give him some extra mojo and let him just get that Williams a bit further up the grid. I see the marina now. Have they got real water in there? It still looks like it is.
No, it looks fake. I think it looks fake. I think it's still a fake marina. I think, you know what? I don't know. There's a pool there now, at least. There's a pool with some floaties there. So I
do see that there, yes, on the left.
But I'll tell you what, though, if anything,
that looks great. I won't lie. I would love to sit on one of those boats and watch the race from there.
You know what? I was just thinking about it right now. It became such a joke last year in terms of that fake marina and the fake boats. I almost feel like they have to keep it that way. I almost feel like it's now part of the track, is the fact that it's actually the fakeness of that part there, and the hilarious thought they had with regards to that. So you know what, it almost adds character to the Miami Grand Prix.
Yes, just getting some overhead shots of the track and all of the guest areas, looking very, very hot out there. I'm sure we're going to see some very fast times getting put on the boards today. Obviously, a lot of testing that we will see being done, especially to the floors. We could see some aerodynamic fluid being put on there so the teams can analyze a little bit more. We often see that in testing, that green fluid that teams often use. I think with the Williams, we've seen them using orange fluid as well, but just trying to optimize all of their floors before this race on Sunday.
Yeah, and we do see a lot of drivers, of course, in their cars. We're just about to get going with practice session 1. It's just literally like a minute away, not even. And as you say, we're talking about Logan Sargent, and we see him there in the car, getting completely misted, of course.
By all of the dry ice there.
Yeah, of course, quite hot, I imagine, in Miami right now. So he's going to just try and get a bit of a cool down. So everybody seems to be very keen to get onto the track as quickly as possible in Miami. And, you know, Logan Sargent, as you say, rookie for the season, coming to his first home Grand Prix in terms of American Grand Prix. So what do we expect from him?
Sorry, I was trying to listen to the commentators. What did you say?
I just said Logan Sargent, what do we expect from him in his first debut? Well, not debut, but his first Grand Prix in his home country, of course.
Well, I think he'll be wanting to perform quite well, but it is his first season in Formula One. There's not a lot of expectations on him. I think just getting points would be incredible for him, of course, but there is no expectation of that.
And yeah, just seeing some imagery here of Lewis Hamilton in that matte black or slash, carbon black Mercedes. I'll tell you something. It's the only thing that Mercedes seems to have done 100% right this season, is that car does just look stunning, doesn't it?
So I've always liked the black Mercedes. Obviously, it's a bit different not to have the silver arrows, but they just look so menacing in black.
Yeah. And we do have cars out on track. Of course, the session has finally begun. And just watching here, Aston Martin has made its way out. So we've got 59 minutes and 30 seconds left of the session, of course, an hour-long session. And we see cars getting out into the track as quickly as possible to go and get some test runs in, some times, some data, so that we can go and see exactly what they need to do for the weekend.
That surface looks incredible out here this weekend, looking so smooth. Obviously, this track never gets used. It only gets used for Formula One. This is in the car park of the Miami State, the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. It just looks incredible to drive on. I'm sure it's always a highlight of some of these drivers' racing seasons come here to Miami.
And yeah, we do see everybody really get onto the track very, very early. Both Red Bulls out, the Aston Martins making their way out.
Mark, with the aero fluid?
Yeah, indeed.
There's some on the front of Max Verstappen's car and some on the rear of Sergio Perez's car. So already doing some aerodynamic testing on their floors here this practice session.
And of course, Red Bull
running have a Ferrari out here now.
Yeah, and of course, Red Bull running the special livery for the weekend. They're doing 3 special liveries for the season, all of them in the American Grand Prix. And the first one, of course, in Miami. And it's a very, very cool livery, I'll tell you that much. It's very well done. I do quite like it.
Yes, it's a great livery, obviously, in those Miami colors. Great to see that Red Bull is allowing fans to get more involved, get more American fans more involved as well. It's always great for the viewership of the sport.
And just trying to count how many cars are currently out on track. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 cars. Actually, almost all, it's just 2 cars. Actually, another one's just come out the pits. So there's 18 cars currently on grid. The only ones not coming out yet are Bottas and Alex Albon. So Magnussen's doing here what seems to be the first pace lap, or at least first test lap of the session. So we're going to follow him with some keen interest here, of course, in that Haas car, and see how he gets around on a pair. I always say pair. It's my new thing. On a set of medium tires.
But Ocon's currently on a flyer, putting in some purple sectors and mini sectors. They're looking good right now. Magnussen, though, also putting in a purple first sector.
Oh dear, a bit of a bumpy ride there for Magnussen as he comes around into that final sector there just before that long straight before coming to those final couple corners before that start finish. It's just got a little bit bumpy there, but again, putting a purple sector, which has already been beaten now from somebody else in sector 2, so not going to be quite up there in terms of times, but we'll still follow him along here.
Purple middle sector there, though, for Magnussen, which also now gets taken away by, I think it is Lance Stroll, who's on a flyer.
So Magnussen has gotten with the fastest lap so far, a 1:36 at the moment, and we'll see if that gets beaten anytime soon. I'm sure it will. Lance Stroll currently sitting in second with a 1:36.9, and there Hulkenberg is now just putting the time, and now we're starting to see some times getting put in, all in the 1:36s at the moment, and we'll start getting it. There's Russell on the radio.
Very busy out there on track at the moment. We currently have every single driver out on track right now. No one is sitting in the pits. Everyone's wanting to test out the surface straight away.
And as you say that, Alonso and Norris have come in, and Russell is just complaining there about some
vibrations.
Vibrations there on the front. What did he say? The front right?
Yes, I heard front right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe he locked up a little bit and just caused a bit of a flat spot, which is maybe rattling his fillings out a little bit.
So the Mercedes team in the garage, of course, hard at work to go and see. As you see a replay here of Max Verstappen on the start-finish straight, let's just see what happens there. It's on a set of hard tyres. It just seems to take the first corner a little bit late, unfortunately. Just seems to, I think, locked up. I think it didn't actually seem to lock up. It just, I think, had too much pace.
Got
and just
a bit of understeer, and then just had to bail out of it. Yeah, maybe just some cold tires still, and not having enough heat to make that corner. Maybe just outbraking himself a little bit. Max on hards, of course. We have a lot of drivers out there on mediums, though. George Russell back on the radio saying, "I'm really struggling with the steering, mate. I'm not going to learn anything with this." Already big issues for Mercedes. I mean, it's not even 10 minutes into the session.
Having said that, though, Hamilton is currently putting in a whole ton of purple sectors here, going around really, really quickly, dominating the times compared to those of previously. He's on mediums as well, but some of the faster times
Lots of porpoising, though, down that back straight for Lewis Hamilton, as we see now George Russell being pushed back into the pits. Let's see what lap time. Yes, with a 1:34.527. Very, very good time for Lewis Hamilton.
So almost a whole 2 seconds quicker than the next best car at the moment. Of course, lots of time left in the session. Still 54 minutes, a whole long time to go in the session. But very early concerns for Mercedes, of course, with George Russell in the pits.
As we now see, Max Verstappen is putting in some fast times. Just looking on our time, 0.054, gone another 0.45 ahead of Lewis Hamilton, as Sergio Perez now puts himself into third place.
And we see a replay of him, and he also locks up into that first corner and just doesn't take it quite well. So both Red Bulls now struggling a little bit with that first corner after the start-finish straight. Interesting there.
Mark, have you spotted, though, the time difference between Max and Hamilton? They're on different tyres.
I know, but it just sums up how powerful Red Bull are. Verstappen, they're pushing in a half a second quicker already.
Logan Sargent on the radio saying, "I can't move my head, man." With his engineer just saying, "Copy." I wonder what that could be caused from. That's very interesting. I haven't heard that before.
Also, what does he mean by he can't move his head? That doesn't make enough sense to me.
Ooh, with a little bit of a slide there into turn 2. I mean, on that visor cam, it looked like he was moving his head around. So I don't know necessarily what he's talking about.
But I'm just confused as to what he would mean by that. Does he mean that maybe his because of course all of the drivers have that little
hands device, head and neck system. Yes, maybe that is caught a little bit, or I don't know. But of course, as a driver, you want to be able to move your head to look into the apexes of corners. So it will affect his confidence going into the corners.
Well, we'll have to watch that as it continues on. But we're still following Logan Sargent here, putting in a lap time at the moment.
Yes, just trying to find his first sector. Not bad from a 33.7. not the fastest in the first sector, but not necessarily too bad right now.
Not at all. So yeah, as I said, we've got just over 51 minutes left of the session. Currently, we've got Verstappen in number 1, Hamilton 2, Perez in 3. But Verstappen and Perez notably on hard tyres. But also Stroll is also on hard tyres in 4th place right now, 0.6 seconds behind Verstappen. So not too far away. So Aston Martin looking a little bit strong there.
Yes, I certainly hope we'll see Aston Martin being able to pick up the pace this weekend and fight it out for a podium. I don't want to see the Red Bulls running away with this. As much as I support them and I love Red Bull, I don't want to see a runaway season again.
No, not at all.
Reminiscent of the Mercedes dominance era.
Oh dear, we have a yellow flag in Sector 2. We're just seeing a replay here of what might be. It looks like Max Verstappen. Is it coming in? And he just watching here, and he just don't quite know what. He just had a little bit of oversteer there, I think. But there's a yellow flag in Sector 2. I don't know what it's for yet, but you're going to find out. Yeah, Verstappen there,
following on.
No, so I don't know what the yellow flag. Oh, it seems to be a Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, perhaps. Following here, Charles Leclerc. Oh, and he's off into the runoff area. That's what happened. He almost went all the way down to the runoff area, just corrected it and came back onto the track. So a bit of an early yellow flag. And yet another replay here of Nick de Vries following. And he does also lock up going into that corner a little bit and seems to have a bit of an issue here. Just watching. Oh, my word. Oh, there you go. Nick de Vries was the problem. There we eventually found the problem. Nick de Vries spins the car around, couldn't correct the car, and he is backwards on the track and has to turn around. And very ironically, cutting to Daniel Ricciardo as soon as Nick de Vries has made that error. Of course, Daniel Ricciardo, reserve driver for Red Bull, and Nick de Vries running in the Alpine, not the Alpines, in the AlphaTauris, which used to be, of course, Toro Rosso, still Red Bull engines and Red Bull team. So ironically, changing to Daniel Ricciardo there, of course.
Great to have Daniel Ricciardo here in Miami, of course, being such a big figure for Formula One, such a big personality. Great to have him with. Obviously, was also very cool to see him taking part in the Met Gala earlier this week.
Yeah, of course. And I say so. Sorry, just watching Hamilton just putting in a purple sector here in Sector 1.
Putting in some very good times right now.
Yeah, the times seem to be. You know what? I'll tell you what's good is the fact that Verstappen, as I said, don't get me wrong, there's lots of time left in the session, but the Red Bulls don't seem to have put in times that much quicker than the rest of the field. As we see, Sainz goes fastest on a set of hards as well, a 1:33.8. So times are already falling, and Hamilton looks to be setting a new.
Hulkenberg isn't very far behind Verstappen on a set of hards himself.
No, not at all, as I say. So it seems to be quite a close field.
The Haas making some improvements here this weekend.
Now, still lots of time left in the session, of course, but Hamilton here is going to come around here, and he does put in a new fastest time, a 1:32 already, 0.9. So a sub 1:33 from Hamilton there. So Mercedes, this is, of course, on a set of mediums, though. Mercedes putting in some decent times there in that lap. As we also cut to Mick Schumacher in the pits, of course, reserve driver for Mercedes.
Yes, this shows, though, that we have a very, very green track. It is getting rubbered in at the moment by everyone out on some fresh tyres. We should see those times dropping, as we see now Max Verstappen putting in another fastest lap time with a 1:32.4, another 0.5 seconds faster, as we see Lewis Hamilton going over a curb there in that tight chicane section. Hopefully not causing any damage to the floor of his car.
No, and the Mercedes floor does look quite a bit different than it did to previous Grand Prix, of course, just having a better look at it now, finally.
Still, though, sticking to that zero side pod concept, will we see them changing that this year, Mark, do you think?
Well, it's an interesting thing because they basically admitted the fact that it wasn't working, but then have since
Is there smoke coming out the back of Lando Norris's car?
They're focusing on it. I don't think so. He's just they're just following him around as he goes around. There's no smoke. No, Verstappen on the radio.
There was a little bit coming out there.
Verstappen there just complaining about grip, saying it's very hit and miss, 1 millimeter offline, and you have no grip.
Once again, going down to the fact that this track is still super, super green. No rubber on this track right now. As they go round and round, though, more during the day and the weekend, the track will just evolve and get so much faster. If it does rain, though, all of that work gets undone. And we do look like we have some rain predicted for Sunday, which could really shake things up here.
I'll tell you something, as much as I don't want rain because it results in a slower race, what it does introduce is a lot of elements of surprise in terms of what an interesting race we could see. So I wouldn't mind a little bit of weather affecting the race, so that we've got to have some seriously big tactics happen during the race.
Yes, rain is obviously always very, very exciting for spectators, of course. It just shakes things up. It allows a lot closer racing. I mean, it's always so unpredictable. We see often the best drivers perform the best in the rain. The likes of Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton having some great performances, Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen as well. If we look back to Brazil, I can't remember what year it was, but it really just showed his raw talent when he was able to save that car from a big slide. Just watching their lockup from the Haas of Kevin Magnussen, I think it was there. As we have is that an Alfa Romeo and a Williams fighting it out a little bit. It isn't Alpine, might be Esteban Ocon there. Currently, though, we have Max Verstappen in P1, closely followed by Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez in P3 for this practice session. Just changed up, though, as I say, that Carlos Sainz has now moved himself up into P3 with a 133.159. Still a little bit off the pace of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton, though, on a set of mediums. Verstappen, Sainz, Perez on sets of hards, as we have Max Verstappen setting some more purple sectors on his hard tires, as he is just learning the circuit once again and getting to grips with his car. Also, just watching Guan Yu Zhou here, putting in a green first sector for himself. Will he move himself up a bit in the sheets? I'm sure we will be seeing a lot more of the teams checking their flaws this race weekend, just trying to get to grips more with their setups after bringing in those upgrades in Azerbaijan. Mercedes also saying that they are planning on bringing major upgrades at a lot of the races here for the rest of the season. Obviously, just trying to fix any issues that they have with their car. So far, Lewis Hamilton looking like they have some pace here, but still quite a big deficit between, my word, as Max now puts himself faster yet again with a 131.8, 1.1 seconds clear of Lewis Hamilton on a set of mediums.
Yeah, and of course I am back here. Hello, and we were talking about. I was just going to go into with regards to Mercedes. Oh, as we just see, Lance Stroll goes very deep into. I can't remember what turn it is. Reese, can you just tell me what turn that is?
That is the I think the second to last corner here. Yes.
Yeah. Just goes deep there. Just locked up a bit and just had to go around a bit late. But I was going to say, you know, we were discussing with regards to Mercedes and the fact that they supposedly admitted that the zero side pods idea didn't work, and you know, they were going to revert back to having side pods. But I suppose maybe they thought back on it because they were managing to find pace in recent Grand Prix with regards to still having those zero side pods. So maybe they thought we'll delay the change.
Well, if they're able to extract more performance, then why change it? I mean, if it works, in theory, you can see why it would work. I mean, the car would be so much more aerodynamically efficient with having zero side pods. It should be like a bullet down those main straights, but they obviously suffered with so much porpoising and now a lack of downforce into a lot of the low speed corners. They've seemed to bounce back a bit, but still lacking a bit, as we now see Charles Leclerc putting himself up into second place, 0.7 seconds back from Max Verstappen.
But notably on a set of hard tires. So not too big a
comparable
gap.
At least.
Yeah, not too big a gap. So, oh my word, big big slip from Albon there. Manages to regain control.
Yes, very good on him to catch that slide.
And we're starting to see some more cars coming to
still
pits.
left. Yes, I'm sure some drivers will be coming in. They'll probably be running low on fuel now, so they'll come and check the data a little bit, maybe put on a new set of tires, and we should have them out again soon.
And Albon does go into 6th place.
Yes, as I was going to say, just following on with Albon, with that special helmet for this race weekend, it is a golf ball inspired helmet. Looks very cool, I must say.
Oh my word! Just watching that replay of Alex Albon's just big slide there. I mean, it's very, very, very good driver awareness to manage to keep it out of the wall there. Just like making a little sexy drift. That's exactly what it was. I'll tell you what, that's for the cameras. In football terms, we'd say it's diving for the cameras. In Formula One, we're saying we're sliding for the cameras, because it really was a very nice little sexy drift there, and then putting it back onto track. So well done to Alex Albon there.
Yes, really just putting it on the show for everyone here in Miami.
And I just want to actually query something. Sorry.
Yes.
He's put in a lap that's in 6th place. I think that slide was part of his lap.
If it was, that's very impressive.
Because
then he still has a lot of time in hand.
Because we were watching him early on in the thing.
At least 0.3, 0.4 seconds from that.
So that's very well done from Alex Albon then.
Yes, as I've been saying, Albon has really been extracting a lot of pace from that Williams car, as we now see Fernando Alonso putting in a purple first sector.
Yes, as I was going to just say, Fernando Alonso here on a set of medium tyres, currently sitting in 8th place, but perhaps going around in an even quicker time now, really motoring around. So let's go and follow him very, very closely and see how he fares. He's coming towards the end of the 2nd sector. Let's see what time he puts in comparison to Verstappen. Does he get another purple sector? Not able to. It's just a green sector. It's 0.5 seconds off of Verstappen in that 2nd sector. But let's see how quickly he can go.
You can still put yourself on top in that final sector. Fernando Alonso still, I mean, so good to see him putting in some fast times at least.
Yeah.
As he comes through the haze there down that long back straight. Neat and tidy there into the second to last corner.
And not able to get himself into the top 2 places, but does put himself into 3rd. So not a bad lap at all.
Not bad, at least for now. Ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Maybe the hard tyres are performing better than the mediums here.
I think it
maybe he gets himself onto a set of mediums and just goes even faster.
Well, I think
of course, we don't know what fuel levels those people at the top are running at the moment. So, yeah.
No, as I say, these are all this is guesstimating. We only make assumptions based off what we see. We don't know if they're running different fuel loads, of course, because we've seen in practice sessions in the past where some cars have seen so slow in their practice sessions, but come qualifying, they suddenly seem to be so much quicker. So yeah, as we don't know what the different strategies are and the different race simulations that they're doing, but good to see the times not too far away from the Red Bulls.
Yes, glad that we have some competitive times at least. Still, I'd like to see the Ferraris maybe catching up a little bit. The Aston Martins as well, I'd like them to catch up a bit too. It would be great to have a 3-way fight for the podium rather than just the Red Bulls and then someone in 3rd.
Correct. Just watching a replay here of Oscar Piastri just coming to that very tight section before that last DRS zone, having to abandon going around there, just has to go over the runoff area there just to bring it back.
He very nearly took out the bollard, something I do a lot in the Formula One game.
No, you don't take it out. Everybody else takes it out for you before you even get there. Just following Ocon here, finishing up his lap. He's putting at a personal best as well. So let's see how he fares here, coming into the final corner, going around quite quickly in that Alpine as well. He's going to go around at a 1:33, I think. He moves himself into 6th, so not a poor lap at all, again, from Ocon there.
Just heard there, though, from the commentators about Oscar Piastri during Azerbaijan. He was quite sick. He had, I think, a bit of a stomach bug. And apparently during that race weekend, he lost 3 kgs from that stomach bug. Shame. I mean, wow. Glad that he was able to still compete in that race. But such determination to be able to compete while being so ill.
Yeah, no, very, very good professionalism, I suppose, from Oscar Piastri there to keep going through through difficult situations there and performing for the team. Of course, McLaren, but difficult to perform for McLaren at the moment, given how their car is performing at the moment. But very good of Oscar Piastri to show a bit of grit in that Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Let's hope he can do decently this weekend. I'm hoping he's feeling much, much better.
Yes, we currently only have a handful of drivers out on track. Oscar Piastri, Esteban Ocon, Valtteri Bottas, Nico Hülkenberg, Yuki Tsunoda, Guan Yu Zhou, and Fernando Alonso are all out on track. The rest are in the pits, getting turned around a bit to get out on track again very soon, I'm sure.
And I think Fernando Alonso didn't come back into the pits when he did that lap, so he might have quite a bit of fuel, and they might be doing a bit of race things, in which case he's put in a very good lap time with that third-placed lap at the moment. So unless he comes back into the pits at the end of this lap, it's maybe a good indicator of race pace.
Just Ferrari wing as it went back into the pit. Looks like they've just tweaked the way that it's planed a bit there, just allowing that air to go over a bit differently compared to their old ones. Hopefully that extracts a little bit more performance for them this race weekend. Seeing Pat Ward there on the McLaren pit box.
At the end of the day, anything that gets any of these cars,
driver for McLaren.
Yes. So anything that gets any pace for any of these cars, I'd be glad to see. As I say, I'm a big Red Bull fan. I have been for many, many years, but I would love to see a very tight grid. You want to see competitive racing down to the wire type of championship points type of thing. So hopefully we do see all the other constructors improve. I'd love to see Ferrari, Aston Martin, and Mercedes all really battle it out for podium places with Red Bull and the odd Alpine and McLaren up there as well. So that'd be great to see. So hopefully we see that come.
Looks like there's some work going on at the moment on Nick de Vries's car. Hopefully nothing that is too critical. It looks like they're working on the rear end, so possibly gearbox or engine related. Hopefully that does not take him out for the rest of the session. 35 minutes remaining now of P1 here in Miami.
So just over 34 minutes left of this session. And not too many surprises, not too many things that we have to note. I suppose the good thing is the fact that, Verstappen's one lap there is very, very quick in 1:31.8. But I do note that, of course, he did only go out for one lap and then came straight back into the pits for that lap. So it might have been on low fuel. But Ferrari and Aston Martin, not too far behind.
Yes, as we see Nick Hülkenberg out on a set of soft tyres, 0.5 seconds up on Max Verstappen's fastest time right now. Always love seeing these visor cams just looking so fast through this high-speed section. DRS now wide open.
The front wing, they're being put on the Mercedes there. New one there. I think it's on George Russell's car, so perhaps that was the problem they were finding. So hopefully George Russell can get back out into the track and get some times in as well.
Nico Hülkenberg once again going faster in the middle sector, 0.7 seconds up on Max Verstappen's fastest time. Now let's see what he can do in this final sector and where that puts him.
Also, doing some very, very fast laps here on softs. And he does go indeed quickest.
Yes, Nico Hülkenberg goes fastest with a 1:31.2. Max Verstappen's fastest time on the hards is a 1:31.8. So not bad from the Haas on a set of softs.
Not at all. And Magnussen now, of course, teammate to Hülkenberg following on. Let's see what time he puts in. It's a bit slower, but only third place. So quicker than Leclerc, but not quicker than Verstappen on those hard tyres. So Hülkenberg beating his teammate there.
We have a few people out on softs right now. We have obviously Nico Hülkenberg, who's just gone fastest. Kevin Magnussen in the sister car in P3 right now. We also have Lance Stroll out on the set of softs, still in P12. Obviously not a representative time yet put on those softs. We also have Logan Sargent, who is on a hot lap right now at 32.2 for his first sector.
and already quite a bit slower in that second sector, 2.3 seconds slower than Hulkenberg's time. So not brilliant in that second sector. Hopefully he can bring it back up as he comes into the last couple of turns before the end of the lap. Coming in, yeah, he's on 124, 125, 126. He's still coming around the last corner and then comes onto that main straight. Should put on a 131.8 maybe, 132.133. Very slow, actually, in fact, 133.5.
Yeah, he just had a bit of a scrappy middle sector. He rode that curb a little bit funny in that very tricky section, but unfortunately just wasn't able to go fast enough to get himself a bit further up the timesheets for now.
And seeing Fernando Alonso again also going over that curb quite harshly. Quite a few drivers have done it today so far, and just a bit of bumpiness going into that final sector.
Yes, as we now have Verstappen out on a warm lap. Our board just waiting for it up on. I will let you know as soon as I have pictures.
No problem at all. As we do see an Aston Martin here, I think it's of Lance Stroll. It is indeed of Lance Stroll. He's got a set of soft tyres on, so hopefully he's going to start a fast lap here, a fast lap attempt in this practice session. So we might well see a new fastest lap in this session as Lance Stroll is doing his out lap now. And Reese, do we know what tyre that Max Verstappen is currently rocking by any chance?
He is on a set of...
Okay, so we're going to see some quick times being put in now. Verstappen on softs. Aston Martin's Lance Stroll is also on softs. So this will be a very, very good thing to go and look at to see what the pace difference is between the two cars. Of course, we don't know how much fuel they're running, but both on a set of softs. One imagines this is going to be qualifying pace looking at. And we see both Red Bulls, of course, following each other here.
Max just coming down that back straight now. Slowing down a bit. Maybe he's going to let Sergio Perez past. Maybe they are practicing a bit of a toe here. I don't think they necessarily need it at all, but maybe just doing some qualifying practice here.
And here we
now
go. We're
coming
going to
round that second to last corner. Yes. Let's see what he can do here as he now approaches that DRS zone. DRS now wide open across the line to start his next flying lap. Let's see what he can do in this first sector. Neat and tidy into turn 1, hitting that apex perfectly. Little bit of a correction into turn 2 and now turn 3. Coming down the straight now into turn 5. Oh, big correction there before turn 6, 7 now into the left-hander. Looking neat and tidy once again, hitting that apex beautifully, riding that curb now over the line, getting close to the next DRS section down this long straight before that very tricky middle sector. DRS now wide open, not open for very long as it has been moved so far down that main straight, now into this tricky double right-hander, hitting that second apex beautifully, straight now into the double left-hander, switching quickly into that right in the chicane, back into a left and down that back straight now. How's his sector times looking so far, Mark?
For whom? Perez?
Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen's sector times, he's put in a purple sector in sector 2. Sector 1 was not purple though, and he's going down the last main straight, coming into the end of the track. Yeah, let's see what sort of time he puts in. I'm sure it'll be quicker than Hulkenberg's. Will it be a sub 131 though? Let's see. It's coming around. It should be a sub 131. It might even be a sub 130 as he comes around. No, not quite. Just not even a 1 sub 31. It's a 131.054. So very quick lap. Perez following on as well. Not as quick, but not as quick as Hulkenberg either. So interesting there. Hulkenberg's time standing very strong.
Max Verstappen obviously had a few moments there. I'm sure there is sideboard there saying box this lap. So obviously on very low fuel, clearly a quality run.
And indeed, a quality run, don't get me wrong, it's quite a few corrections there from Max. Not a clean lap, but very interesting that the Haas is in between both Red Bulls there. Perez also, of course, doing a quality attempt lap, and the Haas is right in the middle of the two. So not that much quicker, the Red Bulls, it seems, at this present time, but I'm sure we'll find some more pace as they go and adjust the car accordingly.
It is still very hot out there. We see how the Red Bulls perform a little bit better in cooler temperatures. Of course, we'll have qualifying in cooler temperatures in the evening tomorrow, but yeah, we should see them still being able to improve their setups over this race weekend. Verstappen on the radio, just saying my hands device got stuck in the
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's a crash here from Haas. Haas has got a yellow flag, big crash here. Well, not big crash, but certainly it's going to result in a possible red flag. Yeah, red flag indeed has been deployed.
Those cars are not slowing down at all.
Nico
yes,
Hulkenberg
red flag
is
now.
into the wall. Oh my word, Nico Hulkenberg, we're going to watch a replay here, but that's going to bring an end to the session at the moment. Not a complete end, but just a stop to the session at least. And your cars need to really slow down. Nico Hulkenberg facing the wrong way. I think he's hit the wall. He has indeed hit the wall there. You can see the Heineken sign
he's
and
broken
pieces
that
of debris.
Front right. He's broken that front right suspension. That's going to be quite a lot of work for the Haas mechanics to fix up. It takes about half an hour to 45 minutes to fix a broken suspension. Of course, they're also going to have to replace that front wing. Hopefully, it hasn't hit the rear tire and damaged the gearbox.
Just watching a replay here as he starts his lap, he basically starts and comes around into that little tricky section, and just coming around, he just seems to lose it, oversteer, and then just can't get it back, and he swings right into the wall. Front right tire
something I've done
in
so many times in the Formula One game. It is so tricky as you switch the direction on the car. The car can just get loose and you'll lose everything. You can also see how he did have a bit of an impact with that right rear tire puncturing it a bit there. Hopefully it took the majority of the blow and didn't damage the gearbox at all.
And Nico Hulkenberg there just admitting that he lost it, and it wasn't a car issue. He's just cursing a bit there as he loses it there. And it doesn't actually look like the rear suspension seems to be broken. Certainly the front is.
No, the rear suspension isn't broken, but the tire is deflated. I think it's got a bit of a puncture there.
Yeah. So hopefully rear suspension not too badly damaged, but front suspension very much so. And that front wing needs replacing. So the front of the car is going to need some work. Haas is going to have their hands full. Hulkenberg will not be in for the rest of this session. A red flag has been called. All the cars will make their way back into the pits. And so we have a premature end at the moment. Of course, time still runs down during this red flag. So we're not sure how long we'll have to wait. Maybe 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes for that car to be removed off of the track.
Yes, depending on whether there is damage to the wall or not from that shunt. If there's damage to the barriers, they will, of course, have to fix that before they then give the green flag to get practice back underway.
So disappointing there for me, because it means that we didn't get to see a quick lap from many other teams. Only Haas and Red Bull have managed to put soft lap times in. So couldn't see how quick the Ferraris, Aston Martins and Mercedes could go around the track. But oh well, I'm sure we'll have a little bit of time.
Still have some time, yeah.
Yeah. So our first, what was I going to say? Our first victim of the weekend to the wall, Hulkenberg of that Haas, losing it there, just coming into that first sector as he starts his race, sliding around, slamming his right tire into the wall as he slid around, losing the car. A premature end to his session.
Something that we've seen with these new generation cars, they very, very sucked down to the track, but once they let go, they really do let go in fashion. I mean, they just completely spin around. You saw there was so much energy involved in that little shunt. It just completely spun around on him. Just watching a replay of Max Verstappen, what is going on here? Has something happened? Oh, it's just a replay. His hands device, his head and neck system device got stuck in the side of his headrest. Hand system is it's a little brace that goes around the neck of the driver and attaches to their helmet and stops them from getting too much whiplash in a big shunt.
And Hulkenberg's car is now being collected from the big vehicle there. I can't remember what
tire is stuck to the wall. Can you see that there, Mark?
Yeah, I did see
there
that.
We go. It's just a piece of branding.
I think the wall is going to be fine. I don't think there's too much damage to the wall, so we should be able to get racing a bit sooner than if it were broken. But just watching another replay.
Yeah, he did roll down it quite a bit, so it dispersed the energy. It wasn't just in impacting in one place. So yeah, he's broken a piece off of the front of his wing, but that car should be majority fine. It's really just a front wishbone that is broken.
What I am surprised about is the fact that the yellow flag was called very early in that sector, but nobody seemed to slow down when it was the yellow flag. Only when it was the red flag did they really slow down. So I've got to worry a little bit about why that was.
I think because you don't expect the driver to be so close to that yellow flag. It comes around a bit of a blind corner as well there. So you see that flag at the last second. Luckily, he was offline, off the racing line, so he wasn't in too much peril. But yes, we don't want to see the cars getting too close to a car that is, off to the side.
Yeah. And just got over 21 minutes left of the session. I'm sure we'll get racing again with maybe 17, 16 minutes left of the session. And hopefully we'll see some more quick times being put in on sets of softs. So just to recap at the moment, we have Max Verstappen in first place on a set of softs. They did quali lap attempts, we assume, because they had low fuel. They had to go straight back to the pits after the day one lap. So one imagines a qualifying attempt, same as Perez and same as the two Haas's. Verstappen in one, Hülkenberg in two, who of course went into the wall after that, Perez in three, and Magnussen in four. So interesting the fact that at the moment the Red Bulls aren't too far away from a very weak team of Hülkenberg and Magnussen and those Haas's. So perhaps an indicator for the weekend that the soft tires, at least, maybe not as quick for Red Bull as they might have been in prior races. Who knows? I'm speculating.
Well, once again, as you pointed out, it is still a practice session and it is still very early in the race weekend. We don't know what fuel levels they are running. They may be running high fuel levels and still not being, not showing their true pace here. But that shall have to be seen throughout the rest of this race weekend. As we see a bit of an overhead shot, it's very cool that the paddock, the racing paddock, where all the teams' different bases are pretty much for the race weekend, is on the pitch in the stadium. It's quite different for a Formula One weekend.
I know, so it gives them a little bit of privacy, I suppose, because nobody gets to go and have a look at that. So it's quite nice, and it's quite a nice little setting. So it's a little bit of a unique thing. And hopefully we can get back out into track. Track dominance here, just looking at Verstappen versus Perez, is quite interesting. On the straights, Perez seems to have dominance, whereas in the trickier corner sections, Max Verstappen has got track dominance versus Perez. So very interesting to see the two drivers side by side in terms of where they find pace in the track. So Perez a bit quicker coming out of turns, it seems, and Verstappen quicker in the turns themselves. So very interesting to go and look at that.
Yes. If you are watching alongside us, please do drop a comment down in the comment section, just letting us know where you're watching from, asking us any questions that you may have as well. It is obviously very good to have you all watching alongside with us. Very excited, though, to see what happens throughout the rest of this session. Looks like, is that Hülkenberg's car already back in the pits?
I think it is, and I think they're working on it already. Yeah, so that's quite incredible. I think it is. Might well be
that
just
was a fast recovery, as we now have the the session yet again resumed.
Yes, indeed, as you say. I think it is then therefore Hülkenberg's car working on it straight away. Just on board here with Logan Sargent, that he's got his things down, and the team is ready to let him out of the pits and get back out. Race control session will resume at 14:42. It is currently 14:42 local time, so the session has begun, and the Red Bulls there just making their way out onto the track. Well, it's not quite it'll get going in basically a couple of seconds, basically.
Looks like there's a bit of a queue in the pit lane at the moment. I don't know why, because the session is once again green. Who is holding up this queue here? Can't really see who it was that was holding everyone up, but we have that queue getting out on track.
Yes, I think it was perhaps actually either Verstappen or Perez. Is one of the two Red Bulls, I think, that were first out onto the track.
It was Albon's first on track. So,
And
If you
indeed,
look on our tracker there, you can see Albon is in here.
And just want to go and say, Fatima is asking, I assume it's Fatima is how you say it, is asking, how can I watch the race? And this is for all of you watching, of course, as well. If you do go and look at the description of the video, we've got a little instruction manual, as well as we have a video on our channel. You can go and look at it and on how you can watch Formula One for free and watch the Miami Grand Prix for free, all completely legal. It's utilizing one of our partners, ExpressVPN. We are very thankful for them as one of our partners. Be sure to go and click on our link and go and find out exactly.
We have a bit of a race on our hands at the moment, Mark, between Red Bull and Mercedes.
Yes,
getting a bit scrappy out there on track.
It's there's a little bit of an old grudge, I think. Hamilton chasing down one of the Red Bulls here in that Mercedes.
Yes, just ruining Max's warm-up lap a little bit, but I think they're both having a little bit of fun out there on track.
I suppose it's a little bit of
Hamilton
practice.
on a set of mediums, Max on a set of softs right now.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a practice session. It's just race practice, simulation, as it were. Really right on his tail, Hamilton.
Yes, well, if he wants to get data, this is the best time to get some data for the race right now, especially for Mercedes, who are sitting in that dirty air of the Red Bull. Max Verstappen now slowing down a bit just to prepare for the start of his next lap, and he gets underway now on a set of softs. Will he do another qualifying sim, or will he do some race pace simulations?
It does just seem to be leaving Hamilton a little bit behind him.
Possibly some quali sim. Neat and tidy into turns 1 and 2. Now heading into turn 3, where Nico Hulkenberg lost it. Neat and tidy, though, still for Max Verstappen. Let's watch his first sector times here.
My word. Half a second quicker than his previous one. Actually, 0.6 quicker in that first sector.
He has completely left Lewis Hamilton in his dust at the moment. Of course, Hamilton being on a set of mediums, but Max just really unleashing the pace in that Red Bull right now. Got some nice clean air in front of him, and he just looks so comfortable in that car.
I think we're going to see the fastest lap of the session now.
Tidy in that technical section. Yes, I mean, I assume so. But he is actually down in his middle sector, but still fastest. Well, he's still up on his fastest time.
What's interesting is he looked neater in that middle section, yet seemed to have lost pace, which is weird.
Let's see what he can do, though, now as he comes across the line. He puts in a 131.05. Well, 130.5, sorry.
Yes,
so
correct.
We are currently into the 130s.
Yes. Verstappen into the 130s there, starting to approach lap records from last year already. Will we see a sub 130 in this session, or perhaps in session 2, perhaps later, Reese?
I certainly think so. I mean, if we're already getting 130s, could we be getting 128s possibly by the end of the race weekend? Who knows?
And this is going to be a very, very interesting thing to watch. And this is what I'm very keen to see is Alonso's currently on a fast lap right now. I don't think a normal race sim qualifying sim for Alonso, they had to overtake, unfortunately, with a bit of traffic, but he's going to come around here. Let's see what his time is on a set of softs as well compared to Verstappen as he comes around the final corner, and he goes over the line in a 131.633.
Not too bad for Fernando Alonso, putting himself into P4.
No, especially when you consider he had a bit of traffic there as he had to get around, so not a bad lap at all for the Aston Martin.
Just over 1 second behind Max Verstappen. Still a very, very good time for the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. Lots of cars currently out on track. A very, very busy Miami circuit right now. Couple more drivers coming to put in some fast times. George Russell now starting another fast lap. We have Norris and Sargent getting close to the line here now.
And Stroll now starting a fast lap. So let's see how Stroll can do.
Charles Leclerc also currently on a new lap. Let's just have a look at his first sector time. Currently up on his first sector with a 30.6 seconds. Max Verstappen with a 30.5, not far off Max Verstappen right now. Let's see if he can improve on the middle sector. Currently, a couple yellow mini sectors, single green mini sector though. Let's see how this goes for Leclerc.
Indeed, it's funny that you bring up Leclerc and Carlos Sainz because we haven't really heard much about Ferrari this session so far, have we?
Sorry to interrupt you, Mark, but Oscar Piastri has put himself into 5th place.
Has he?
Yes, with a 131.8, currently behind Fernando Alonso, 0.2 seconds behind him at the moment.
As indeed,
very good for Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, I'm just following along here with Lance Stroll. He's going around in 18th. Of course, Lance Stroll not able to put in a quick time yet. He's not doing slowly at the moment, but it's not a brilliant time in comparison to Verstappen. He's 1.4 seconds already coming at the end of Sector 2. And we're following along with Russell here. Let's see what his Sector 2 time is compared to Verstappen's. It's it's also quite a bit slower, 1.6 behind it. Leclerc goes second fastest with a 131.072. So Leclerc finally of that Ferrari putting in a
bit
decent
of a lock-up from Lance Stroll in the second to last corner on his flying lap. Let's see where he puts himself.
Not very good lap there from Lance Stroll at all. A 132.2.
Moves himself up into 12th position though, at least.
Yeah.
Lot of soft tire runners at the moment. Only people who have not set a soft tire time so far is Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Pierre Gasly, and Nick De Vries, who is still in the pits, I think, having some work done on his car.
Just watching that replay of Lance Stroll, almost losing it a little bit, coming into that final that corner after that long DRS straight, just having to correct it a bit.
Yeah, a bit of a lock-up there for Lance Stroll. Not great, but well done for him keeping us still on the track and being able to hit the apex there still. So it didn't affect him too much.
And ironically, the cameras then pan across to Felipe Drugovich, of course, the reserve driver for Aston Martin. So, the camera director, or the race director, at least in terms of the broadcast, is having a little bit of fun. Every single little mistake, he keeps going back to the reserve driver, saying, "Oh, shouldn't he be out there?"
I don't think so. I think when your dad owns your racing team, you have a bit of job security.
Yeah, man, we've got 10 minutes to go in this session now. The last 10 minutes. So hopefully we'll see some quick times being put in. I doubt we'll see some race simulations in these last 10 minutes. I'm sure we'll see some qualifying pace. As we see, Fernando Alonso puts in a quicker lap at 131.2, so only 0.68 seconds behind Verstappen. So that's a bit better there from Fernando Alonso in at Aston Martin, putting in a bit of a quicker pace lap. So good there.
Yes. Good session, though, so far from the top three. Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, and Fernando Alonso, all very similar lap times, obviously. As we see, Carlos Sainz putting himself now up into second place with a 130.993.
Oh, so there you go. So now I've got another sub 131 car along with Verstappen, that of Carlos Sainz and that Ferrari. So Ferrari's finally starting to wake up in the session. We've not really seen a lot of them. Sargent now starting his fast lap on a set of soft tires. Let's see how quickly he can get around.
I know I keep saying it, but this track is really evolving a lot right now. When people go out on soft tires, you lay down so much rubber, and that just allows you to keep going faster every single lap you go around here. Yeah, very good lap, though, from Carlos Sainz, a 130.9. Some good sector times from him.
I think something also interesting. Hang on. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 3. Let's see if it is just a normal yellow flag or maybe perhaps slow driving. It is green already, so not too much of a problem at all. So
looks like one you show went a little bit slowed down the last straight, so maybe just letting Oscar Piastri get through on a fast lap.
Indeed. And following Sargent here, it's not too bad a lap here for Sargent. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the top, but certainly a little bit of a pacier lap and putting a better estimation of where he stands in terms of the grid at the moment. Just following it here into the last couple of corners. Let's see what sort of time he puts in. I think a 132 is on the cards here. Indeed, a 132.6. So not too bad. Up into 14th for that Williams.
Yeah, it's not bad at all from the American there of Logan Sargent. Interesting, though, to see that we currently have those two Ferrari drivers ahead of Sergio Perez. Perez not getting to grips with the Red Bull as much as his teammate of Max Verstappen. Very interesting, though, after his great weekend out in Azerbaijan last weekend.
Yeah, I think also, again, as we keep saying, it looks like he's coming back out into the track right now. So we'll see how he fares if we can put in a quicker lap now. But this is, of course, only the first practice session. We're just following a replay here of Pierre Gasly. Oh, my word.
To get a bit out of shape here.
Yeah, lost the rear
maybe
in
just
the
taking
high
a little bit
speed.
too much curb there. Yeah, I think he just took a little bit too much curb, and that just unsettled the car a little bit. But yeah, it just shows how.
Oh, my
What
word.
happened there from Alex Albon? What the hell?
Yes, I was about to say, we just suddenly see a
Getting very
replay
close to the barriers there.
they don't even talk about it, but we suddenly see Alex Albon just not able to actually turn the car, apparently.
Some very interesting issues happening out here on track as we see. Is that Charles Leclerc starting another hot lap here?
I think so.
Looks like it might be one of the
Charles Leclerc.
Ferraris.
Yeah, it is indeed Charles Leclerc. Yeah, correct. And obviously, only just 6 minutes left of this session. So can Leclerc challenge Verstappen right at the top there? The Ferrari suddenly finally woken up in the session in terms of putting in some decent times to talk about. Leclerc having to deal with quite a lot of traffic on his lap at the moment, but shouldn't affect him too much.
I see a purple first sector, Mark.
Oh dear, is this going to challenge Verstappen? Have Ferrari found pace finally coming into the end of the session? Yes, indeed.
We do have Max Verstappen currently on an outlap, though, so Max Verstappen will be very quickly showing his cards against the Ferrari lap time that we should see being put down very soon. 30.5 for the first sector from Charles Leclerc, a very, very competitive time. I think Max's first sector time was a 30.53. Leclerc's is a 30.51. Middle sector, not too bad. A personal best, but not a fastest. But we've still seen people put in a fastest lap time, even with a slower middle sector.
Well, it's only 0.07 seconds slower than Verstappen. So a very, very quick time from Leclerc here. Hopefully, as he should come across, perhaps quickest time of the session right at the end here. He's really going to challenge Verstappen unless he makes a big mess up in this final couple of turns here. Let's see how he fares as he's coming into the last few corners. Very neat. Doesn't seem to have any issues. No traffic to deal with. He should come in perhaps in a sub 130. Not quite enough. And yeah, he loses a little bit in that last sector, unfortunately. Does improve on his previous lap.
A sub 130 though, so it is a 130.8.
A sub 131,
sub 131, just ahead of his teammate Carlos Sainz. As we see a pit stop there from the Mercedes, putting on a set of brand new soft tires. We should see some competitive times being put in by them now, at least.
Just watching a replay here of Lewis Hamilton on that straight at the end there, right at the end. Oh, it just catches a bit of curb and lots of dust spewing off the car. And oh, my word, really ruining that back tire.
Yes. I think it's just a bit of dust there. It looks a bit worse than it actually is. But yes, they had a planned stop already. A little bit of porpoising from Carlos Sainz, though, as he comes around that corner to go down the start-finish straight, and now has a bit of an issue. Is he slowing down?
No, I think he's just abandoned his lap. Yeah, I think he just abandoned his lap. He had a bit of he didn't take that turn very well. Max Verstappen was hot on his heels, also doing a quick lap, so I think he just decided to abandon and let him pass.
That was Perez, sorry, that he let through, not Max Verstappen.
Well, a Red Bull, of course, anyway. So we'll sorry.
No problem. Max looking like he is on a slow lap, already abandoning his first flying lap, maybe just doing a double warm-up lap here.
And will Perez be able to get a quicker lap round? Right at the end here, will he be able to get right in the top three? Perez, of course, we're going to follow with some interest here. And Ferrari here and Lewis Hamilton just battling it off a little bit. Can the two Mercedes get a quicker lap in these last 3 minutes? Lewis Hamilton coming round, hopefully to start his first attempt at a qualifying lap. He's all the way down in 19th, of course. Not a single lap down in softs as compared to the rest of the field. Him and Russell, of course. So can they get a decent lap time? And, of course, I think they might try to do this with regards to media as well because, of course, more rubber on the track as they start. So this is the best opportunity to get the quickest lap in of the session. So let's see Lewis Hamilton here start his qualifying attempt lap in this first session, practice session, of course. So that black Mercedes coming down the start, finish straight, already coming to that first turn there. And
it's worked out very well for Sergio Perez, who is just in that sweet spot for getting a bit of a tow from Lewis Hamilton. That will certainly help his lap time quite a lot.
Yeah, Hamilton now approaching that end of the first sector here. Let's see how he fares in comparison to Verstappen's lap time. Could be quite quick here. Just 0.081 seconds behind Verstappen. So really right on the money, pretty much with that Red Bull. So very, very good lap to watch here of Hamilton. Can he push himself right into the top three, right at the end here? Just 2 minutes to go in this session.
I see a fastest middle sector.
Oh dear. Is the Mercedes going to go quickest right at the end of the session just to go and turn some heads?
Have Mercedes finally
Oh,
gotten rid of some of their gremlins here?
as I say, Russell putting in that purple sector as well in the first sector. Not a purple sector, but a faster sector than Verstappen. Hamilton, purple middle sector. So both Mercedes going around very, very quickly right at the end of this session. So very exciting stuff here, following two Mercedes all the way down in 18th and 19th. And Hamilton now coming into the final couple of turns. Let's see how he fares with regards to Max Verstappen's time. I think it's a very, very good lap from Hamilton. He should go quickest. Perhaps as he goes over the line, he does go quickest, a 1:30.3. So 0.2 seconds quicker than Verstappen. Now let's follow Russell, who's also put in the middle sector purple. So he's
We also
improved on
have
Hamilton's
Charles
time.
Leclerc out on track, who has put himself also in front of Max Verstappen with a 1:30.449.
It's all
Then
happening
Hamilton
right
with
at
a
the end.
1:30.337. Let's
Russell now
see what
coming
George
in.
Russell can do.
Indeed, and Russell looks to be quickest this session so far. He's coming round. If he didn't mess up the last sector, he should be quickest. He does go quickest, a 1:30.1, a brilliantly quick time from Russell as well. So both Mercedes will end the session right at the top, out of nowhere. Both Mercedes the quickest. Max Verstappen all the way down in fourth, 0.4 seconds behind Russell. So Mercedes seem to have found pace, Reese.
Yes, of course, we didn't get a representative time from Max Verstappen on a new set of softs. So I think the Red Bulls still have a lot of pace, of course. Max Verstappen setting that lap time on an older track with less rubber than it has when Hamilton and the rest of the gang put in their times. But great to see some very competitive times out there on the board. Very, very fast, though, from George Russell to 1:30.1.
And then just right at the end there, Gasly also a 1:31.1
Yes.
in sixth. So suddenly also putting himself quite high up. So a nice spread of teams in the top 10 there.
Certainly not our predicted top 10, Mark.
No. Just following here on board with George Russell, just saying how busy it is on track. He says he just can't get out of the way of everybody. Oh, Logan Sargent almost losing it.
Oh, almost channeling his inner Nicholas Latifi there. We lost Latifi there last year. But yes, Logan Sargent just managing to catch that slide there. Lots of aero paint there on the McLaren. Clearly doing a lot of work to check how their floor is working with their new upgrades.
So yeah, right at the end of the session. Session has now ended, and I don't think we're going to see any new times get put in right at the end here. So just to recap here, out of nowhere, the Mercedes of Russell in first at 1:30.1, Hamilton in second, also at 1:30.2.
As we see Lance Stroll put himself now up into 8th position.
Yeah, so a really, really good session there from all the teams. Aston Martin, I think, actually will be a little bit upset with not being a little bit quicker, perhaps. But Mercedes 1, 2, Leclerc
a bit of
3.
an outlier there with
Leclerc,
the Alpine.
Yeah, Leclerc 3, Verstappen 4, Sainz 5, Gasly in 6th in that Alpine, 7th and 8th the Aston Martins of Alonso and Stroll, 9th Hulkenberg, and 10th Ocon. Perez all the way down in 11th. So not a great qualifying lap time there from Perez, well, at least a qualifying sim lap time. So that is the end of the first session. Just watching a replay here of Yuki Tsunoda coming into that last couple of turns in Sector 3. I think he gets held up a little bit by the Alpine ahead of him.
Oh, yeah, he does a bit. He's not going to be very happy with that. Just hearing what he's saying on the radio. What the expletive is he doing? Honestly, this idiot. Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda being animated yet again on the radio and now going alongside him. Yeah, just showing his frustration there a little bit, unfortunately, for Yuki.
So, Reece, surprises from that session?
Well, I mean, the Mercedes are ahead of the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc on an equal set of tires as well as the same track conditions. Great to see.
I mean, yeah, it's just so a couple of cars obviously coming in for their race start practices here. So a little bit of a not a comfortable face from Christian Horner there in that Red Bull garage.
I don't think you can really say that, Mark. I think they're very comfortable where they stand at the moment.
No. I'm just
that
adding
time
drama.
was still set or not. Yes, I know you are.
Noting
Just
something
seeing a
interesting.
bit of a race start practice here from Max Verstappen looking clean off the line. Also from Charles Leclerc now looking clean, no wheel spin. Ooh, a bit clunky though, going from first into second. I'm sure the engineers will have a bit of a look at that.
And quite interesting to note, of course, the two Mercedes, of course, finishing top in this session. And we go and look at our poll, which was saying who is best positioned to challenge the Red Bulls this weekend. Aston Martin were second, Ferrari in first, Mercedes only in third in that poll. So interesting, the fact that Mercedes were the quickest of the session. So, yeah. Leclerc there also admitting,
Yes.
Reece there, just saying slow shift there going into second. So just admitting exactly what you said.
Yeah, I thought I did spot that. Yeah, I mean, they'll definitely have to have a bit of a look at that later. But going back to the Mercedes, I'm very happy to see them up at the top of the timesheets. Hopefully they have gotten to grips with their car and we'll have them fighting it out for the pole.
The best thing that will be to see, of course, will be later this evening in that qualifying session.
Yes,
because
of course.
not the qualifying
not a qualifying session,
FP2.
P2.
But P2 is
Yes.
going to be a far better
Indicator.
Indicator. That's the word I'm looking for. Indicator of exactly what you're going to see tomorrow in qualifying. So if the Mercedes can keep their pace in the FP2 later, it might be a good indicator for qualifying tomorrow. So just to recap, right at the end of the session, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, finishing off our top three. Max Verstappen only in fourth, Carlos Sainz in fifth, Pierre Gasly of the Alpine in sixth, Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll in those Aston Martins in 7 and 8, Nico Hulkenberg, who obviously went to the wall, causing a red flag in the session, in 9th, Esteban Ocon in 10th, Perez only all the way down in 11th, Oscar Piastri there in the McLaren in 12th, Kevin Magnussen of the Haas in 13th, Valtteri Bottas, we didn't really see this session, in 14th, Alex Albon 15, Lando Norris 16, Guan Yu Zhou 17, Yuki Tsunoda, Logan Sargent, and Nick de Vries bringing up the rear in 18th, 19th, and 20th, respectively.
Yes, very exciting session there. Bit of drama with that crash from Hulkenberg. But all in all, a very good session, productive session. Looking forward to practice 2 in not too long. I'm sure you will all join us in watching free practice 2. It is late here, but we will be staying up to bring you these sessions.
Yes, I know. Working so hard we are from the comfort of our own homes. Of course, going late into the evening, though, nonetheless. So, guys, thank you very much for watching Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports for this Miami Grand Prix weekend. And, of course, that was the first practice session of the weekend. We'll be back in a couple of hours for practice session 2 from me, Mark, and from Reece, of course. We thank you so much for watching. Reece, you can actually end off the whole thing because you're the one with the camera on screen. I'm not. So you can end off our session.
Yes, thank you all for watching. Please do drop a like and subscribe. And also, of course, check that description for how you can watch the Formula One legally with our partner. Yes, thank you very much for watching. This has been Forever Sports, bringing you the Formula One. Thank you very much. Cheers.